everybody, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very honored that I can contribute to this site event. I'm very glad that when we are talking about family care, we don't talk only about women on maternity leave, right? But also about women who care for their parents or even grandparents. And it is essential to see the role of women as caregivers in all its forms, and therefore to see and to be able to see all consequences. Well, why am I talking about women as caregivers? The answer is simple. Only about 2% of men go on parental leave. When we are talking about men or women who care for their aging parents, it's not that easy, and I cannot give you such an indisputable number, although current data show that more care of older people in the Czech Republic and also worldwide is provided by women. Men also provide certain care, but they are less likely to do so. Intensity of this care or work they provide is not as great, and care activities men engage in are of kind of different type than those provided by women. So that's why it is not easy to say how many percent of men is actually engaged in providing care for older persons. It's simply dependent on how do you ask. Men consider as providing care when they, for example, call once a week and they ask if, do you need anything, or they show up in their place once in a few days. And on the other hand, women, they're more likely daily care providers. So with the increasing age of expectant mothers, we very often talk about so-called sandwich generations, which is generation of people who care for their aging parents while they're still supporting their kids. And these mothers in the sandwich generations, they ages 35 till 54, they feel more stressed than any other age group because they balance the demanding, delicate acts of caring for growing kids and children, and at the same time aging parents, which is not really easy. I don't want to underrate men as caregivers at all, because especially I think many people underrate them in general, and that is probably why I think they don't get involved so much. So, however, as we have limited time, I will concentrate a little bit more on women because of the number and situation I just presented to you, so it's simply more current and serious topic to talk about women. In the Czech Republic is more than 80% of care provided by family members. Just about 1/5 of older persons who need daily care is in the institutions. Majority of experts and also public agree that care should be provided just in cases where there are no family members or they are not able to provide any care. Home palliative care is impossible without cooperating family. So that means that informal care providers are very, very important partners of the state, as they don't just provide care which their aging relative prefer, but they also save money to the state because home care is way cheaper than institutional care. So nevertheless, they were not supported by state enough until quite recently in our country, in the Czech Republic. So I'm therefore very happy that our current government recognizes that they recognize the importance of informal care providers. And since June 2018, people can take up to 3 months off for long-term care for their family or relatives. It's part of sickness insurance, and also the care allowances will be considerably increased from this year. And we think it's really amazing step forward in supporting the informal caregivers. Next, the number of programs for informal caregivers provided by various NGOs rose rapidly within the last 2 years. They provide psychological counseling, consulting, workshops, organized self-help groups, etc. Our NGO, Beauty of Help, supports older persons to be able to live at home and with dignity. So we basically coordinate all necessary home care services so they do not have to end up in institutional care. That's what we do. But our clients are also from the lines of, not just from the lines of older persons as such, but the informal caregivers as well. And from our recent statistics from last year, we even found out that we have already a bit more clients from the group of informal caregivers than the older people. So it's obvious that they really need our support, they really need our help, because the situation they're in, it's new for them and it's very difficult to get over it and make everything work. So they really need our support. What we see as a challenge we are facing at the moment is lack of respite care services. Because as we help our clients to coordinate, all necessary home care services they need, very often we face the situation when we contact the services, but they have no capacities anymore, and waiting list is sometimes up to a few months, not even a year. So that's a big problem we're facing today, and it is kind of, and this kind of services is essential for caregivers to be able to provide long-term care and also have sometimes some time off, right? So last but not least, we would like to see get private sector involved a little bit more as well. Even though it's 3 months off for the caregivers, great step forward, it's not going to save the situation by itself. So more flexible labor market is necessary condition to make it work. What if we need to care about our relative longer than for 3 months? What if we cannot afford to be paid just 60% of our salary? So it would help really if there were more options for home offices, shared jobs, or part-time jobs in general. Especially when we look at the situation of women from broader perspective. Large majority of them care for children, a lot of them care for aging parents, and during that time they face huge disadvantage on labor market, and they're basically punished for this when they retire and they're on pension system, by lower pensions. So I must say that also majority of our clients are women, and their partner usually passed away, family doesn't work, or they just cannot afford any kind of help. And these people are seriously left behind, because with average $540 a month, they really struggle through their days. So this is, from my point of view, very often cost of family care. So just to sum up my paper, I'm very, very glad that informal caregivers are getting more and more attention or support in Czech Republic and also hopefully internationally. Of course, that we NGOs would like to see changes happening more quickly than it's happening in real life, but we understand that it is not really that easy, and that, for example, pension system is very much a political topic. And all the more, we really appreciate the courage of current government to open this topic. And I'm always saying and concluding my speech by saying that I believe in cooperation. I think it's extremely important to cooperate among state, among NGO, among private sector, because only together we can really provide the informal caregivers with enough support, which they really deserve very much. Only government can carry through necessary legislative changes, as for example, the law about 3 months off. Only NGOs implement specific programs and services for caregivers to help them relieve, let's say, their situation. And only companies can offer more flexible options to help these people to stay active in labor market. So home care is for many reasons a goal we should all be heading to. It's future. This is what people want. It's the only way, I think, to make this happen. And it's an amazing thing. And for supporting informal caregivers, it means enabling home care. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much again.